The women's seeds at Roland Garros are dropping like flies, while the top men's players are barely staying alive. A player who hasn't been struggling is Iga Swiatek, who extended her win streak to 30 after defeating Alison Risk 6-love, 6-2 for a spot in the third round. Like with her opening round versus Alessia Sarenko, and quite frankly the entire spring, Iga was in control of every aspect of this match. She didn't face any break points and was solid on both return and serve, winning 85% of first serve points. Risk, meanwhile, only managed to claim 39% of points whenever she made a first serve. Iga hardly made any unforced errors, but the one most notable was when she mistakenly sat down after the first game of the second set. Swiatek then gave this hilarious reaction when the chair umpire reminded her that this was not in fact a changeover. Swiatek will not only be happy with her performance today, but she'll be pleased with her remaining section. Iga now plays Danka Kovinic in round 3, who took out Ljubila Samsonova. Samsonova, who's a big hitter by the way, came the closest to ending Swiatek's win streak when the two played in Stuttgart. The Pole is also guaranteed to not face a seed until the quarterfinals, as both Jelena Ostapenko and Simona Halep are out. 2017 champ Ostapenko lost to Frenchwoman Lise Cornet 6-love, 1-6, 6-3 in front of a rowdy Philippe Chatrier night crowd. Swiatek fans were happy with this result, as Jelena was the last person to beat Iga in February in Dubai. Meanwhile, another because she has the game and talent to do so. Plus, the Romanian has been playing that great this clay season. Halep looked to be in control of the match early on, going up a set and a break. However, Qinwen began applying more pressure, while Simo appeared to let off the gas significantly. Something clearly wasn't right with Halep because she took a long moment after getting broken in the first game of the decider. Halep, looking physically ill, called the trainer during the next changeover, got her pulse, and put to the press that she actually suffered from a panic attack mid-match. The 2018 champ said that she had the sudden panic attack while being up a break in the second set. Halep said that she struggled to breathe throughout the whole ordeal and didn't really know how to handle it. However, the former world number 1 says that she's fully recovered and is already looking forward to getting back out there on the practice court tomorrow. From someone that's had a panic attack before, they can be extremely difficult to deal with. Remember, Emma Raducanu had one last year at Wimbledon due to the pressure she felt and was actually forced to retire from her 4th round match. Halep also said that she felt the pressure out there because she really wanted to do well this tournament. I think some of these feelings and self-imposed pressure is due to Simona's recent partnership with Patrick Mouratoglou, Serena's former coach. The Romanian said that Patrick reignited a spark within her, and I know they both had very high expectations for the clay, Halep's best surface. However, this clay season was a pretty big disappointment for them both, as Simona held a 4-3 record, only managing one quarterfinal appearance. It appears that Halep's fans aren't that happy with her and Patrick's partnership, not only because of the lackluster results, but also Patrick's corniness. Mouratoglou posted this to Instagram after today's defeat. I've always been proud of my successes with my players, but then I also have to acknowledge when I'm not doing a good enough job. The results we've had in the past month are insufficient for someone of Simona's caliber, and I take full responsibility for them. She is fully dedicated and motivated, gives it everything on every ball. She's a champion. Her track record speaks for itself. I expect much better from myself, and I want to extend my apologies to her fans who have always been so supportive. This is just obviously really cringy and honestly embarrassing for Simona. This is just very unnecessary to do after a loss, and I can't remember any tennis coach doing such nonsense. Patrick is very showy. He branded himself as the coach, the most popular tennis coach in the world due to his work with Serena and his big social media presence. Some people don't realize that not everything needs to be posted to social media. Also, not everything is about you, Patrick. I'm sorry to say it. Your charge literally had a panic attack on the court. This was just a tasteless caption that should have never been typed. I think time's ticking for Patrick, and if Halep doesn't have a good grass court season, don't be surprised if we see a coaching split announcement. Moving back to the tennis action, I think Iga does have a much better chance of making the quarters with Halep and Ostapenko out. Zheng is very good, but I'm not sure that she has the experience and consistency to beat the pole. Then Cornet is consistent, but just doesn't have many weapons in her arsenal to push Swiatek. American Jessica Pegula pushed Iga a bit during their Miami Open semifinal match, and the 11th seed is still alive here in Paris. Pegula picked up a solid 6-1, 5-7, 6-4 win over Jelena Karolina, who was a strong dark horse for this event. While the scoreline reflects a highly competitive match, this one was close to being much more straightforward. Pegula was leading 6-1, 5-1 before Karolina reeled off 6 consecutive games to take the second set. Then Pegula was up another double break in the decider, 4-1, before Karolina got it back to 4-all. Finally, after 8 match points, Jessica sealed the deal in 2 hours and 26 minutes. During the first round, she needed 10 match points before finally closing out Wang Qiang. The American, though, will be happy to even get through, as she's possibly 1 match away from making her top 10 debut. Speaking of which, there are only 3 top 10 women's players remaining in the draw after the first 2 rounds. One recent casualty was Karolina Pliskova, who lost her French wild card and wore number 227, Liulia Jeonjeon, 6-2, 6-2. Pliskova hasn't been playing that great in 2022, but this was still a shock because Jeonjeon had never came close to getting such a win, making her Grand Slam debut here in Paris at 26 years old. Pliskova's loss gives us a pretty wide open second section, as Alexandrova also lost today, falling to Arina Camelia Begu. Begu, by the way, was close to being defaulted after bouncing her racket into the crowd, which nearly hit a young spectator. 9th seed Danielle Collins also fell in straight sets, this time to Shelby Rogers, 4-3. I'm disappointed but not surprised by Collins' loss because Shelby's patient game style has always caused Danielle trouble. Rogers now plays Daria Kasatkina, who's been breezing through the draw thus far. 7th seed Anna Sabalenka avoided the upset bug with a dominant 6-1, 6-3 rout over Madison Brengle. She next faces a much harder hitting opponent in Georgie next, who earned a solid win over Yulia Putintseva. 6th seed Ons Jabeur lost a while ago on day 1, but her exit left a longing impact as her section looks pretty interesting. Angelique Kerber is surprisingly the highest remaining seed, and she now takes on Alexandra Sasnovich, the woman who beat Emma Raducanu for the 2nd consecutive time. Up top, unseeded players Martina Trevisan and Daria Saville will try to make their 2nd ever Slam second weeks. Meanwhile, the strongest section in the draw still looks enticing even with Maria Sakkari's departure. Karolina Muchova is playing excellent tennis at the moment, as is Osaka slayer Amanda Anisimova. Leila Fernandez is looking strong and will look to avenge her countrywoman Andreescu, who is the victim of a clobbering by Belinda Bencic. Moving down, Coco Gauff is the highest remaining seed in her section, but she doesn't have an easy out, next facing the dangerous Kaya Kanepi. Elisa Mertens is also still alive and received a walkover after her 2nd round opponent Maria Boskova withdrew after contracting COVID. Another Czech woman who tested positive for COVID was Barbora Krejcikova, but that was after her opening round exit to Diane Perry. Perry backed up her big win and now looks to topple another Slam champion, Sloane Stephens. Stephens looks to have rediscovered her Slam-winning tennis form as she recovered from a 6-3 2-love deficit to Kirstea, winning the last 12 games. Meanwhile, up top, Victoria Azarenka is into round 3, but has a tough test on her hands in Joe Teichmann. Now, one section does have Aussies remaining, and that's Paula Badosa's. Badosa got through a very tough test with Strasbourg finalist Kaya Juvan, winning 7-5, 3-6, 6-2. She'll now meet Veronika Kudermetova for a spot in the 2nd week. Meanwhile, Elena Rybakina and Madison Keys will square off after both earned solid victories over Katie Valinets and Caroline Garcia respectively. Moving over to the men's side, Novak Djokovic has a decent path, but might want to watch out for Grigor Dimitrov, who's been making quick work of his opponents thus far here. Meanwhile, Rafael Nadal, fresh off a historic 300th Grand Slam win, faces a potential challenge in Botic van de Zandschulp. Auger Aliassime, on the other hand, meets skilled Serb Filip Krajinovic. Alexander Zverev is basically playing on house money at the moment after coming back from 2-0 down and saving a match point during his 2nd round win over Sebastian Baez. The German will be happy with his remaining section though, as his only remaining seed, John Isner, is notoriously weak on the clay. Another man who's probably just happy to still be in the tournament is Carlos Alcaraz, who also saved a match point in his 4.5-hour win over compatriot Albert Ramos Vinolas. Unlike Zverev, Alcaraz doesn't have the Unlike Zverev, Alcaraz doesn't have the luxury of having a somewhat easy section, as he next faces talented young American Sebi Korda. Korda has a somewhat decent shot, as he'll have spent 2 hours less on court in that second rounder. Also, Lyon champion Cam Norrie is still going strong and next meets Karen Khachanov. Casper Ruud's section looks fairly intact with the exception of Francis Tiafoe, who suffered a pretty disappointing defeat to Davide Goffin. Goffin now plays 12th seed Hubert Hurkacz, who picked up a convincing 1-4-2 win over Cecchinato. Stefanos Tsitsipas surprisingly did not have an easy win himself, pushing past qualifiers Jelena Kolar 6-3, 7-6, 6-7, 7-6 in 4 hours. This match was tough, but it could have been much more grueling. First, Kolar had 3 set points in the second set, which he ended up dropping. Then more notably, he had 4 set points in the fourth, being up 6-2 in the tiebreak. Tsitsipas managed to win 7 out of the last 8 points to seal another hard-fought win. Steph has really had to earn his spot into the third round, as he had to come back from 2 sets to love down in the first round versus Lorenzo Musetti. Perhaps he'll have an easier time on court next, as he faces Mikael Ymer in round 3. Steph's section looks pretty good, as he won't have to face a seed until the quarterfinals. However, 19-year-old Holger Rune is still alive and looks primed to do some damage himself. Moving down, 7th seed Andrei Rublev is on course to meet Jannik Sinner in the fourth after both picked up 4-set wins. Lastly, Daniil Medvedev has been looking pretty solid in Paris thus far, winning comfortably over Laszlo Djere. Up next for him is another Serbian Mimar Kecmanovic. Medvedev needs to make sure that he's firing on all cylinders because Kecmanovic has been playing some excellent tennis this season. Then up top, Gilles Simon is extending his farewell tournament and has a good shot at going even further as he leads the head-to-head against Cilic 6-1. Looking at the day 6 order of play, Benches and Fernandez are on Chartrier, followed by Novak, Sloane, and Carlos. Then on Suzanne Lenglen, Anisimova plays Bukova, and Goff takes on Kanepi. Nadal and Zverev will close things out there. Lastly, on Simon Mathieu, Dimitrov, Schwartzman kick off action, followed by Kerber, Azarenka, and then Norrie. That's all for my second round Roland Garros recap, and let me know your thoughts about the women's upsets and near men's upsets in the comment section below. Also, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post the round 3 recap. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.